Well, welcome once again, everyone, to San Diego Sports Talk. Coach John Kentera with you. Very happy to be with you as we break down the Padres road trip overall. Padres finally on Wednesday able to eke out a victory, playing some pretty good baseball, getting another great performance from right-hander Matt Waldron. We'll talk more about Matt in a minute, but the Padres won it 5-2. They finish up the road trip 1-5. They snapped their 5-game losing streak. And they also snapped their 9-game losing streak. How about that? Boy, a tough one for the Padres, but they got some big hits in this ball game on Wednesday. Jackson Merrill, 8th homer, been swinging the bat very, very well. We'll talk more about that young guy, and boy, what a blessing he's been to this Padre ball club this year. And the veteran Kyle Higashioka, a big 3-run triple that blew the ball game open for the Padres. And by the way, it was Higashioka's first triple of his major league career. But very happy you could join us today. And want to remind everyone, please follow us on YouTube. Set your notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. I want to thank everyone. We've had really an incredible following in a very, very short period of time that we've put these podcasts on the air. But again, make sure you turn on the notifications. And what we're trying to do right now is do a couple a week, normally following up a Padres series, leading into another series. And we're going to get you all ready for the big homestand coming up, starting on Thursday night against the Milwaukee Brewers. It'll be a 4-game series. And right after that, you'll have Mackenzie Gore and C.J. Abrams, the Washington Nationals, come to town. But more than anything else, Padres, big win, huge win. I mean, exactly what the doctor ordered. When you opened up the paper on Wednesday morning, the Padres are in 4th place. That's not gonna get it done. That's not gonna get you into the playoffs. Padres with the win now are only 2 games under 500 on the year. They're 38-40. They're 1 game over 500 now on the road. Remember at one point in time they were 19-10. Now they're 20-19 on the road. I mean, miserable last couple of road trips, absolutely miserable. This one here between the New York Mets and Philadelphia was just absolutely horrendous. 1-5 and played a lot of really shoddy baseball. The starting pitching was not good. Michael King was pretty good on Tuesday night. Randy Vasquez wasn't all that good on Monday night. Matt Waldron's been good in both starts, and we're going to talk about Matt here in a minute. You know, I'm going to have some questions for you a little bit later on in this program that I need some answers on from you folks. But again, you can follow me on Facebook at John Kentera. You can also follow me on X at Coach Kentera44, at Coach Kentera44. And I'm always willing and able to take your questions, and I normally get right back to you. If I'm not out doing something dynamic, I'll definitely get back to you right away. But a big win for the Padres. They win at 5-2 over Philly, and that's the only win of the season against Philly. They're done with the Philadelphia Phillies. Philly swept them in San Diego earlier this year, and the Padres finally got a win. So they finished 1-5, like they did on the road trip. That's what their record is against Philadelphia. Maybe, just maybe, if the Padres can get hot, maybe the Padres will see the Phillies in the postseason. Let's talk about Matt Waldron. You know, I said on our last podcast, this guy is pitching incredible baseball. I mean, really incredible baseball. And you go back, and I shared the numbers, and these numbers are only going to be better. Going into the start on Wednesday, Matt Waldron, his last 7 starts prior to Wednesday, his ERA was 1.91, while hitters were hitting an anemic 181 against him. And then he went out on Wednesday against that dynamic lineup of the Philadelphia Phillies and just did a marvelous job. Aside from allowing a 3rd-inning home run to Bryce Harper, who eventually hit another home run in the ball game against Jeremiah Estrada, Harper now got 17 on the year. Waldron, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, gets the win, 5-6, and a 3.46 ERA. But then you go back to the start that he had at Citi Field against the New York Mets. He got beat 2-1. He really deserved better that night. I mean, the offense was just awful. Offense has not been good. Even though the Padres came into Wednesday having the best team batting average in either league, This team is not consistent. They're not consistent at all. Now, Wednesday, they got 12 hits against the Philadelphia Phillies. And Ranger Suarez didn't take the loss. He came in with a 10-1 record and an ERA under 2 and did a marvelous job for Philadelphia. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, a run, no walks, 4 strikeouts, gave up the home run to Jackson Merrill. Exited with a no decision, ERA 1.75 and a whip of 0.89. He pitched well. But the Padres ended up with 12 hits. You know that in the first 2 games of the series, the Padres had a total of 11 hits, and then they have 12 hits against Ranger Suarez and a pretty good bullpen, Philadelphia. They got a pretty good bullpen. But Matt Waldron, going back to that game in New York at Citi Field against the Mets last week, first part of the road trip, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Guy's getting it done. And I told you in our last podcast, I really enjoy watching this guy pitch. He doesn't light up the radar gun. I mean, seriously, if you were an amateur scout and you were going out to high school or college baseball to watch Matt Waldron, yeah, maybe you'd get enamored by his knuckleball, but not too many organizations want to sign knuckleball pitchers. But he's not going to light up the radar gun. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's going to throw 91, 92, 93. But the guy hits his spots. He gets ahead in the count. And it's a lot of fun for me to watch pitch. I really enjoy watching him pitch. He's been very consistent. Michael King's done a good job. Dylan Cease has got to pick it up a little bit. He's starting to give a little bit of ground right now. His last 3 starts, he had the one start where he pitched pretty well, but overall, he's been a little bit inconsistent. I'm starting to see more of the Dylan Cease that the White Sox saw last year when he had a 4.5 ERA. But he can be dominant. He got to get back pitching the way he's capable of pitching. And hopefully we're going to see that here shortly on this homestand. This is a big homestand for the Padres. They got to get back over 500 and stay over 500. That's simple. Okay, let's talk about Jackson Merrill. This kid, I wasn't sure. This kid had played 46 games of AA. He had never played at the AAA level. 46 games in AA. And the Padres, because they're trying to save money, they go, you know what? We think this guy can get it done. He had a great spring training. And the guy has been as good a player as the Padres have had all year. I mean, seriously. I mean, you got Luis Arraez, you got Profar. And we talk about those guys all the time. They're proven major league. You got a kid that played 46 games at AA, and he's tearing it up right now. He has to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I mean, this kid is fun to watch. I mean, he's a ball player. He's a tough, hard-nosed ball player. And hopefully he stays that way. And from what I understand, he's very well-grounded, been brought up in a great family. And just keep doing what you're doing. And the way he has played center field, I mean, yeah, every once in a while he'll take a bad route out there in center field. But overall, this kid's been unbelievable. I mean, if you want to look at a real bright spot in the everyday lineup, it's been this kid, Jackson Merrill. I mean, Profar's having a career year, but he's a proven major league player. We knew that. But this kid, we had no idea. We didn't know if he'd be here for 46 games or 46 at-bats and get shipped back down to the minor leagues. He's been incredible. And you look at his numbers right now, awesome. I mean, he's been absolutely awesome. I was looking and totaling everything up after the ballgame today. In the game Wednesday, 2 for 3, had his 8th homer. So he's got 8 homers and 30 RBIs now, hitting 279. You couldn't ask more of this guy. He's doing one heck of a job. And the other thing, he has fit in so well with this ball club. Extremely fit in well. And that's what you want. I mean, the guy understands he's a rookie. He knows his place on this ball club. But, man, he's starting to swing the bat. He had 2 homers in that New York series. He had the homer on Wednesday. I mean, he's got 5 homers in the last 7 games. And now the power is starting to take on. And I don't expect him to keep that pace up, obviously. I was hoping, hey, if the guy could hit 10 home runs this year, you'd be happy. I mean, probably looking maybe 15 to 17. I don't think he can get to 20. But this kid's been fantastic. hats off to the Padre organization. They got a good one here. No question about it. Okay, now I want to get to you fans a little bit. I want some reaction. We've got our little chat box when we put this up, and I want to hear from you folks out there. And again, if you're just joining us, make sure you sign up. YouTube, San Diego Sports Talk, Coach John Kentera. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter, at Coach Kentera 44 on Twitter or X. And Facebook, it's John Kentera. And make sure you want notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. Okay, as a fan, what are your expectations of this ball club right now? Have they changed? Do you still think that, hey, this can be a playoff team, or do you have this team have too many holes? I mean, what are your expectations as a fan right now? Do we have to reassess that? Do we need to reassess where this team is at right now? Yeah, they won Wednesday, 1-5 on the road trip. What are they going to do against Milwaukee? Milwaukee's coming in. They're leading the National League Central. Then you got the Washington Nationals, who think they can be a wild card team. And they're hovering a couple of games under 500 right now. So 7 big home games. Padres, they don't need to go 4-3. They need to go like 5-2 or 6-1. I mean, let's get a hot streak going here if they can. Now, they're hoping to get Yu Darvish back. Yu Darvish Wednesday night going to pitch in Fort Wayne in a minor league game. They're hoping to get 75 pitches out of him. Musgrove is going to try to throw. As far as just playing catch. And that's going to be a long, lengthy rehab. He's going to have to go out and make starts once he gets healthy. I mean, he hasn't even thrown since he got the PRP injection. But what are your expectations as a fan right now? I mean, we need to kind of look at this. I see a lot of holes personally. Starting pitching has not been great. You got guys going down. The offense, even though they're hitting for average, they're very inconsistent. Cronenworth's starting to come back down to earth. Arise is doing his job. Machado, you got to get him going. You got to get Tatis going. They didn't have good road trips. And even when they got hits, they're not driving the ball. You got to get some power out of those two guys. It's that simple. But what are your expectations of this ball club right now? Is this really a playoff caliber team? I said the other day on our podcast, yeah, I think it is a playoff caliber team because everybody else is mediocre, and we're right there with them if we're the Padres. Padres are a mediocre team. I mean, now think about it. Record-wise, they're below average. I mean, anytime you're under 500, you're below average. But you got the Giants that are playing better. The Diamondbacks are definitely playing better. That's why when you open the paper up on Wednesday morning, Padres are in 4th place, only by half game back, but again, they're still in 4th place. I don't know about you, but I kind of figured they'd come in 2nd place. But what are your expectations? And is this a playoff team, or are we whistling Dixie? I want to get your opinion on that. What is the strength of this team, by the way? Is it pitching? Is it hitting? Is it fielding? I guess you'd have to say it's hitting. But, man, there are nights where they just don't flat out hit. And most of the time, they don't hit at Petco Park with a dam. I mean, they do most of their damage offensively out there on the road. And they had their struggles on this road trip. I mean, you go 1-5. I mean, for a couple of games there, you only scored 1 run. They're not going to win too many ball games that way. So, I mean, what do you look at is the strength of this ball club? You know, I don't know. Well, you got a 7-game homestand coming up. And believe me, before we get out of here, we're going to talk about Willie Mays. I'm definitely going to talk about Willie Mays. I got a lot to say about the great number 24. But the 7-game homestand starts Thursday night. Big series. Good Milwaukee team, but you know what? The pitching matchups aren't bad. I'll take a look at those right now. This ball club's managed by Pat Murphy. Remember Pat Murphy? He was the guy that took over for Buddy Black in the 2015 season. And then he left the Padre organization. He wasn't rehired, and that's when Andy Green came in. And he was here for 4 years. Then they brought in Jay Stingler. Then they brought in Bob Melvin. And then they brought in Mike Schilt. revolving door managers along with hitting coaches in San Diego. You got to chuckle a little bit on that. But Pat Murphy doing a nice job. First year, taking over for a guy that played for him at Notre Dame, Craig Counsell, who moved on to the Chicago Cubs. Right now, Pat Murphy got the Brewers comfortably in first place in the National League Central. I mean, they got some really good players. I mean, Christian Yelich, former MVP, playing in MVP form. It took him a while to get back. The last couple of years have not been kind. A lot of people thought maybe his career was winding down, but he's having a big year, hitting well over 300 right now. Bryce Terang, their former number one draft pick, young kid out of Southern California, playing second base, doing a great job. They got the nice catcher, William Kentera, the shortstop, got some power, Willie Adames. They got a good ball club. They got a really good ball club. 4-game series starting Thursday night. Here are the pitching matchups. Thursday night, 6:40, Petco Park. Right-hander Bryce Wilson. So far this year, he's pitched in 17 games. He'll be making his 9th start, a 4-3 record, a 3.84 ERA. Padres will counter with the youngster, right-hander Adam Mazur. I would expect this to be Adam Mazur's final start, at least for a while in the big leagues, with Yu Darvish working his way back. And again, if you tuned in a little bit late, Yu Darvish pitching Wednesday night in Fort Wayne. They're hoping to get about 75 pitches out of him, and then they'll see where he's at, and maybe he'll need another start, or maybe his next start will be in the big leagues. But Adam Mazur going to throw Thursday night. He'll be making his 4th start. He's 0-2 with a 7.82 ERA. And again, the big bugaboo with him, got to get ahead of hitters. He's walked 13 of the 61 batters he's faced so far in the big leagues. That's not going to get it done. Friday night at Petco Park, 6:40. Former Padre right-hander Colin Ray, 6-2 and a 3.29, going against right-hander Dylan Cease, 6-6 and a 3.95 ERA. Saturday. Now remember, this is going to be an early start at 4:15, not the customary 5:40. This game's going to be on Fox Television, so a 4:15 first pitch. It'll be rookie right-hander, 22 years of age, Carlos Rodriguez, 0-2, looking for his first big league win. 6.48 ERA, going against right-hander Randy Vasquez, 1-4 and a 5.70. And then Sunday, it'll be a 1:10 start. Rookie right-hander Tobias Myers, 4-2 and a 3.26 ERA, going against right-hander Michael King, 5-4 and a 3.49. So those are the pitching matchups for the 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Then coming in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoon. That'll be a 1:10 start on Wednesday, the customary 6:40 on Monday and Tuesday. The Washington Nationals in town before the Padres head back out on the road. Okay, Tuesday night it came down, and very unfortunate situation with the passing of Willie Mays. Willie Mays, and I was thinking about this, over the last few weeks we've lost Bill Walton, Jerry West, and now the great Willie Mays. Willie Mays is a kid, man. It was amazing. I got to share, and I shared this story with my family yesterday when it came down that Willie passed away. When I was a little boy, there weren't a lot of games on TV back then. And living in San Diego, and this is prior to the Padres coming into existence, we only had a Pacific Coast League team. So my dad would take me up to see the Angels play, Jim Fregosi, Bobby Knopp. But we got very, very few games on television. The Angels would broadcast some of their road games. Dodgers would mainly broadcast their games up in San Francisco. And I remember watching a lot of games on Channel 11 out of Los Angeles. Willie Mays, Willie McCovey. I remember Bobby Bonds hitting a grand slam in his first major league game. I was watching that game. And there weren't a lot of nationally televised games. Normally, on Saturday, you'd have Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek calling a ball game. In the backup game, maybe Jim Simpson, one of the great play-by-play announcers. But whenever you could watch the Giants, you wanted to watch Willie Mays and Willie McCovey for that matter. But I remember as a little leaguer playing in the Solana Beach Little League, I played for Hanson Surfboards. And, you had those button-up unis. They weren't pullover unis in those days. They were button-up. And I would always leave my top button unbuttoned because that's the way Willie Mays does it. Now a lot of players, they leave a few buttons undone so they can show all their gold chains. But Willie Mays used to always have that top button undone. And when I would be in the on deck circle, my little league coach, a marvelous man, a man by the name of Augie Sandoval, he would come out to the on deck circle, and I have my little donut on the bat, the weighted donut swinging, and Mr. Sandoval would come over and say, John, he'd tell me, think about this when you're at the plate. And while he would talk to me, he would always button my top button. So, I'd either get a hit or I'd, make an out and go out to the field. Before I came back up again, I'd always undo my button. And Mr. Sandoval would never say, John, why is your top button always unbuttoned? But it was kind of like a sign. That's what Willie Mays does. That's what I want to do. And the other thing that Willie Mays used to do, and I think a lot of you folks remember seeing him play, was he would put he'd fold his hat up and put it in his back pocket. And once he got on first base, in those days you were able to do it. He'd been grandfathered in because when he first started, guys weren't necessarily wearing batting helmets. They'd wear an insert in their ball cap. But he would toss his batting helmet to the first base coach, and he would pull out his cap, unfold it, and put it on. And there's so many things about Willie Mays that I remember: the basket catch, the way he could throw. But the thing, and aside from his 660 home runs and 1,900 plus RBIs and a 302 big league average in the National League, the thing that I remember more about Willie Mays that I really enjoyed, and I always think about this, the way he could run the bases. I mean, he could go from first to third. Watching him tear around second base on a base hit to right field, center, or left. I mean, he would just come around that base like he was shot out of a cannon. I mean, what an incredible ball player. And I've always said that he was the best player I ever saw. And he probably will be the best player I ever saw. I was thinking last night, I had a lot of thoughts. I was switching around. I watched the Padre game, and that got over. And I watched the Dodger craziness of that game against Colorado. Then I watched the Angel game a little bit last night. They got beat by Milwaukee. I wanted to get a little scouting report on the Brewers. And I was trying to think and trying to, whenever you scout, you always try to find comps. Who is this guy comparable to? And you know what? Willie Mays, there's really no comps for me. And I guess some people would say Ken Griffey Jr., but I don't know. I mean, it was just, they were different type of hitters. They were different type of hitters, and Willie Mays just was really in a field by himself. I mean, I was thinking, Roberto Clemente. Clemente had that great arm, and he could run a little bit, but he couldn't run like Willie Mays. He couldn't hit the ball out of the ballpark like Willie Mays. Hank Aaron, probably very underrated in a lot of ways, even though at one point in time, and I guess it depends how you look at it, who the all-time home run leader is. By the books, it says it's Barry Bonds, Willie Mays' godson, but a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. They want to say it's Hank Aaron. I'll let you decide on that one. But Barry Bonds, great player, no question about it. Couldn't throw like Willie Mays. Willie Mays was a different guy, man. He could throw, he could run, he could field, he could hit, and he could hit with power. I want to share a few numbers with you on Willie Mays, and then we'll say goodnight, and we appreciate you tuning in. And again, I want to make sure you follow us because we're trying to get you good content. And it won't only just be during the Padre baseball season, folks. It's going to be throughout the course of the year. We're going to keep this rolling. We'll get into Aztec football, basketball, anything important in San Diego sports. We're going to talk about it. And, some people may not like what we have to say, but my old saying, if you don't like what we're saying, play better. That's simple. Willie Mays, better known as the Say Hey Kid. The other name he had was Buck. Everybody, a lot of guys that knew him real well would call him Buck. Played 23 seasons in the big leagues for the New York and San Francisco Giants when they moved west. He played the last 2 years of his big league career with the New York Mets. 24-time All-Star. And you say, well, how was he a 24-time All-Star? Well, 1 year they played 2 games. National League Rookie of the Year in 1951. National League Most Valuable Player twice in 54 and 1965. 12-time Gold Glove winner. 4-time National League Home Run champ. National League Batting champ in 1954. I mentioned that he could run. 4-time National League stolen base leader. How about that? April 30th, 1961, Willie blasted 4 homers in a ball game. Career numbers: 302 average in the National League, 384 on base percentage, 660 home runs, a career OPS plus for you sabermetrics people. How about this? Career OPS plus, 157. How about that? He didn't even know what OPS plus was. He just went out and tried to win ball games. 3,283 hits, 1,903 RBIs, and 338 stolen bases. I remember Willie Mays saying one time, he was the first guy to do 30-30. 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. And somebody asked him, you never were a 40-40 or 50-50 guy. He goes, I wasn't worried about no, I was worried about winning ball games. And a young man that I've worked with for many years, and people that have followed me know that I've worked real hard with Wynton Bernard, a young man out of Rancho Bernardo High School, and Wynton got to the big leagues briefly with Colorado in the 2022 season. And now Wynton's doing a good job playing in the White Sox organization. He's in Charlotte, playing for the Charlotte Knights. And I told Wynton when he was early in the Padres organization, his second year, he was really struggling. And I go, Wynton, I go, even if you go 0 for 4, you can still help win a ball game. And I got that from Willie Mays, because I remember Willie Mays saying many years ago, it was after he was retired, he goes, you know what? Even when I'd go 0 for 4, I tried to impact the ball game either with my arm or my legs. Even if I walked, I could steal second. I could come home if I got to third on a sac fly, or I could make a great catch in the gap, or I could throw out a guy at third base, or I could hold a guy to a single rather than a double. And then we rolled a double play. You can go 0 for 4 and still help your ball club win. And Willie Mays, that was his mindset. You're not going to hit every day. But you can still have an impact on the ball game and do whatever it takes to help your ball club. That's the way I was brought up. And when you hear guys like Willie Mays, who, by the way, I got his autograph once. I had never met him, but I got his autograph once out at the Astrojet golf tournament at La Costa. I had a good day. I got Mickey Mantles that day. I got Joe DiMaggio's, and I got Bob Gibson's. But Willie Mays passing away on Tuesday afternoon at the age of 93. Like I said, he was a guy you thought would live forever. I knew his birth date better than I knew my own as a kid growing up. I used to carry his baseball card around in my wallet. Little kids, when you're in elementary school, you don't have a driver's license or an ID card. And I used to carry baseball players' pictures around. I used to carry Willie Stargell and Willie Mays, and an unbelievable player. And from what I understand, really an unbelievable man. I got to be around him a little bit when I was emceeing the Negro League luncheons for Dave Winfield. One year they brought Willie Mays down. He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. So we're going to close it out. We'll have another one on Sunday that'll get up probably early evening on Sunday. Padres finish up with a really nice victory. A good effort by Matt Waldron. He went 7 innings, a 1-run ball. Jackson Merrill had a home run, his 8th of the year. Kyle Higashioka, his first triple of his career, and that was a 3-run triple on a ball that Brandon Marsh, the center fielder for Philadelphia, dove for, got by him, and all 3 runners scored. And Higashioka ended up on third base. Robert Suarez, after a tough Tuesday night, came in and retired to the side in the 9th for his 18th save. And Padres get home 1-5. Now they're only 2 games under 500 at 38-40. Again, like to thank everyone for tuning in. Remember, sign up, please subscribe. We'd ask you to subscribe to where you don't miss any of what we're doing and keep you up to date. And again, I got that question out there for you. I'm going to ask you again, what are your expectations of this Padre ball club? And are they a playoff team? Do you see them being a playoff team? So until then, Coach John Kentera, have a great couple of days, everyone. We'll talk to you again real soon. And again, thanks for tuning in to San Diego Sports Talk with Coach John Kentera. Bye-bye.